Yo, what's good, everyone, and welcome back to the Mayo Media Network. My name's Griffin Swanson, and today I'm going to be breaking down the Monday Night Football game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears. I got a couple of prize picks here that I like for this game, and then we're going to dive into my spreadsheet, breaking down that DraftKings Showdown slate. But before we do that, y'all know the deal. If you could like this video here and subscribe to the channel, I would really appreciate that. The Mayo Media Network has football content coming out Monday through Sunday all season long, and you don't want to miss out on any of that. For you podcast people, you can always head over to the Apple Pods or Spotify and find the content there. And while you're over there, leave a 5-star review. But with that being said, let's dive into this Monday night game here, kicking it off with a couple of prize picks that I like. All right, so I'm over on the PrizePicks.com website here now. You can see there's a number of different sports that we can choose from, a number of different props as well. So PrizePicks has got a lot going on here. You can mix and match sports, you can mix and match props, a different way to play DFS. Now, if you have not signed up for PrizePicks yet and want to do so, you can use the code MMN, which stands for Mayo Media Network, and get up to a $100 match deposit. So take advantage of that, and you don't have to put $100 in. You want to put in 50, they'll match 50. You want to put in 20, they'll match 20. As long as you're using that code MMN, you'll get up to a $100 match deposit. With that being said, I got two props here that I like for this Monday night game, and the first is going to be a rushing yard prop. I'm going to scroll to the bottom here, and I like Justin Fields over 33.5 rushing yards. Now, the first three starts for Justin Fields, guy really wasn't using his legs all that much. I blame it on the coaching there. We have started to see that change, though, over the past 3 games, where he's had 6, 8, and 10 rushing attempts, hitting 43, 38, and 103 rushing yards in each of his past 3 games, hitting the over there at 33.5 in all 3 of those games. Now, I know the Steelers defense is good, play much better at home as well, but if the Bears want any shot at winning this game, Justin Fields is going to need to use his legs, and it seems like they're starting to tailor towards that side of his game, like I said, especially over the past 3 games. So I'm going to take the over there. Realistically, this guy could do that in one single rushing attempt. Probably not going to happen that way, but assuming he gets another 6+ rushing attempts here, even double-digit rushing attempts would be better. He should be able to hit over at 33.5. And then the other prize pick here that I like for this Monday night game is going to be a receiving yards prop on the Steelers side of things. We're going to go Chase Claypool here over 51.5 receiving yards. This guy's averaging 67 receiving yards per game this season, and there definitely have been a few outlier games like back in week 5 when he had 130 receiving yards, but it goes to show you the upside that he has as well. I'm looking at some projections here for Chase Claypool. He's coming in around 62 receiving yards for this game, so a pretty decent gap there from this current number, and he's got that deep threat ability to where he could realistically hit the over here on one single play. You know, we've seen him do it twice this year. Back in week 5, had a catch for 59 receiving yards. Back in week 2 against the Raiders, had a catch for 52 receiving yards. So I think this number's just a bit too low, and I'm actually looking at his home and away splits right now, and in 4 home games this year, he's averaging 78 receiving yards per game. 27-yard gap here from the current line. So again, I like the over at 51.5. Now to recap here, the 2 picks that I like: Chase Claypool over 51.5 receiving yards, Justin Fields over 33.5 rushing yards. We can approach this 2 different ways, the flex play or the power play. If you go the power play route, you will need all of your picks to hit, but it does increase the payout. And again, for those of you who have not signed up for PrizePicks yet and perhaps interested in doing so, you can always use the promo code MMN and get up to a $100 match deposit. All right, now we're going to dive into the spreadsheet here, breaking down this DraftKings Showdown slate. As always, we'll start in the top left-hand corner with these Vegas odds. You can see the Steelers are favored to win here at home, sitting on the money line of -280. They're also 6.5-point favorites. And then a pretty gross over-under there, only coming in at 39 points. So it could be a defensive game, slow-paced game, but hey, that's what we have to work with here on Monday night. And then I got these showdown stats here from 2020. As always, I'm going to go through these pretty quickly here. Let's hop on over to this other sheet. This is in regards to the top 1% of lineups from last year. So number 1, 92% of all showdown lineups from last year included at least one quarterback, and of the top 1% of lineups, 96% had a quarterback rostered as well. Number 2, 33% of all lineups rostered a wide receiver at captain. Of the top 1% of lineups, 31% 51.5% had a wide receiver listed as captain as well. Number 3, 57% of the top 1% of lineups rostered a captain from the team favored to win. So in this example here, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 4, run it back, an opposing quarterback, wide receiver, or tight end was included in 88.9% of winning lineups that rostered a quarterback, wide receiver, or tight end from the other team at captain. Number 5, ignore defensive kickers in the captain spot. Very rarely does that work. Only 1.1% of the time last year in those top 1% of lineups. And number 6, don't play more than 2 kickers or defenses in the same lineup. Usually 1 is fine. On a lower scoring game like this that only has an over-under of 39 points, you can probably get a little more creative there, but generally speaking, don't play more than 2 kickers or defenses in the same showdown lineup. But all right, let's go ahead and dive into some of my favorite plays here for this showdown matchup. As always, I'm going to list out a captain from both sides of this game. Starting on the Steelers side of things here, I like Deontay Johnson. Now, yes, you can absolutely put Najee Harris in here as well. You can see I got him listed as a flex play, but I like Deontay Johnson, the clear-cut number 1 receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who leads the team in targets, air yards, red zone targets, and reception touchdowns this year. He scored at or above 14.6 DraftKings points in every single game, and has a solid matchup here against this Bears defense, who's allowing 42.8 DraftKings points per game to opposing wide receivers this season, the 6th most in the NFL. Now, I know Big Ben hasn't been great this year, but he has notoriously played better at home, which ultimately benefits his receivers. So I like Deontay Johnson here. If you want to mix in Chase Claypool, I think that's certainly applicable as well. But like I said, Johnson has been the clear-cut number 1 wide receiver, not only this season, but last season as well. So I like him in the captain spot in this matchup. And then on the Bears side of things here, I like Justin Fields, and I kind of mentioned this during the PrizePicks segment of this video. If the Bears want any shot of winning this game, Justin Fields will need to play this week like he did last week against the 49ers. And I know that's probably not earth-shattering news. Hey, quarterback needs to play well in order for their team to win, but in his first handful of starts, I honestly don't know what Matt Nagy was doing with the quarterback here, but we finally saw Fields play to his style just last week against the 49ers, ultimately leading to his best performance of the season. Now, he had 175 yards through the air, through a passing touchdown as well, but more importantly, they started using this guy in the running game. He had 10 rushing attempts last week for 103 rushing yards, had a touchdown on the ground as well, which led to 29.3 DraftKings points. So if the Bears coaches are smart in this game, which I'm not entirely sure that they are, they'll kind of let him roam free a little bit, use that rushing upside, and hopefully can keep this game close. I know this Steelers defense is solid, especially while playing at home, but if there's anybody who's going to give hope to the Bears in this Monday night game, it's Justin Fields, and I like him in the captain spot. Now, hopping on down here to my flex plays, and the first guy I got there is Najee Harris of the Steelers. You know, I kind of name-dropped him when I was talking about Deontay Johnson in the captain spot. By all means, you could put Najee there as well, projecting to be the best overall play in this Monday night game, but he's also the most expensive, and I've mentioned this in videos in the past. When it comes to your showdown lineups, you put in the most expensive player in the captain spot, it obviously gets a little more difficult to fill out the rest of your lineup. So he is certainly applicable there, but I like him as a flex play as well. The volume has been massive with Najee all year long, receiving 18 rushing attempts per game and 7 targets per game. That's fantastic at the running back position, and he scored at or above 21 DraftKings points here in 5 straight games, showing an upside of 30 plus DraftKings points, and he leads the team here with 5 touchdowns and 21 DraftKings points per game. So again, you could put him in the captain spot, you could put him in the flex spot, projecting to be the best overall play here in this matchup, and should see solid volume once again. Now, they call him Slim Roethlisberger, and I'm not in love with this play, to be honest with you. Big Ben has not been great this year. He wasn't great last year. He's getting older and kind of looks washed, in my opinion. But when it comes to these showdowns, quarterbacks are damn near always in play. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to go with both of these quarterbacks in the same lineup. Probably do prefer Justin Fields, to be honest, with that rushing upside. But again, I always go back to this first statistic here. 92% of all showdown lineups for last year rostered at least one quarterback. And of the top 1% of lineups, 96% had a quarterback rostered as well. And that very well could be Justin Fields. But we got to talk about Big Ben here, especially if you're going to be playing guys like Deontay Johnson, Swanson, Najee Harris, Chase Claypool, and trying to roll out a little Pittsburgh stack, it makes sense to put in Big Ben. He's only averaging about 14 DraftKings points per game, but he has notoriously played better at home, so I'll give him a little more benefit of the doubt compared to if he were playing on the road. But like I said, not in love with this play, but considering it is a showdown, I wanted to mention the Steelers quarterback. Next, I got Chase Claypool there at $9,000. Like him in the flex spot, but could absolutely put him in the captain spot as well. Certainly got enough upside to where you can roster him as a captain play, and we saw that back in week 5 actually against the Denver Broncos, where he finished with 27 DraftKings points, and I mentioned it during the PrizePicks segment as well. He's got that deep threat ability to where he could realistically score a touchdown from 40, 50 plus yards out. So I like him here either way. He's a clear-cut number 2 wide receiver in this Steelers offense. Right now he's second on the team in both targets and air yards, but considering he's got that 25 plus DraftKings point potential, he's absolutely on my radar in this showdown matchup. I then got Khalil Herbert there, the running back for the Chicago Bears, and we got to keep an eye out for this one because we did get word here this weekend that David Montgomery very well could play in this Monday night game. I just don't think it makes sense for Montgomery to play though, because the Bears go on a bye in week 10, so rest him one more week here, then he's got the bye week to recover a little bit more, then bring him back in week 11. But hey, this is the Bears coaches. Like I said, I don't really know if they're all that intelligent, so you could see Montgomery play in this Monday night game, and if he does, it's certainly a hit to Herbert. But if Montgomery is out, I do like Herbert here, seeing 18 plus rushing attempts in 4 straight games, and he's made the most of that, hitting 19 and 21 DraftKings points in 2 of those games. So like I said, this is a tougher matchup on the road against that Steelers defense, but if we're looking for a guy who's seen solid volume on the Bears side of things, that's been Khalil Herbert. Next, I got Steelers tight end here, Pat Freiermuth, who's played really well in back-to-back games, and that's important because the previous starting tight end for the Steelers, Eric Ebron, went down with an injury back in week 6. We've seen Freiermuth take over ever since then, seeing 7 targets in back-to-back games, racking up 12.8 and 14.4 DraftKings points. Really solid, especially considering he's only $7,000 here, essentially meeting 2x value in both of those games, and he's also third on the team in red zone targets at 15%. Like I said, he's really been only playing here as a starting tight end in 2 weeks. That number certainly could go up. So it's a good price tag here. He's had good back-to-back performances, and assuming he continues to see 5 plus targets, I like him in this position. I then got Darnell Mooney there for the Chicago Bears, and I was running through some numbers as I was building this spreadsheet, and it's just weird to see how bad Allen Robinson has played this year. The volume certainly hasn't been there like it has been in years past, and Darnell Mooney has basically taken over as the number 1 receiving option in this Chicago offense, especially with Fields. Mooney leads the team in targets at 27.5% and air yards at 36%. He's got a solid matchup this week as well against Cameron Sutton, the Steelers quarterback, projecting as one of the best on Pro Football Focus. So I was kind of surprised to see Mooney this cheap at $6,400. I know this Chicago offense hasn't been great in general this year, but he's got upside to hit 20 plus DraftKings points and certainly meet value at this price tag here, a $6,400. And then sticking on the Chicago side of things there, I don't mind Cole Kmet. I say that with a little hesitation in my voice because it was tough picking some of these Chicago offensive players in general because they just have not been very good this year. And when an offense isn't good, basically the only thing you can go off of is volume and opportunity. And the volume and opportunity for Cole Kmet hasn't been bad, especially over his past 3 games. He's seen 5 plus targets in each of those games. That's enough to where he could get us double-digit DraftKings points and essentially meet value at that price. He is also the number 3 receiving option in this Bears offense, behind Darnell Mooney and Allen Robinson. But again, just hard to kind of spot pick some of these Chicago offensive players in general, so I'm basically just going off the volume here. Now, switching back over to the Steelers side of things here, I just talked about how bad that Chicago offense has been in general this year, here. So I like the Steelers defense, especially playing at home against a rookie quarterback. I'm always targeting defenses that play rookie quarterbacks, especially one who has 7 interceptions and 8 fumbles in his first 6 NFL starts. And this Steelers defensive line should be able to create a lot of pressure on Justin Fields, which will lead to turnovers and sacks, obviously. PFF Pro Football Focus is currently giving this defensive line a 39% matchup advantage against that Chicago Bears offensive line, which is really solid. We've actually seen this Steelers defense start to turn it up here in their past 2 games, combining for 9 sacks. They had 5 and 4 in each of their past 2. So I like this matchup considering they're playing a rookie quarterback at home, but really good to see the Steelers defense turn it up a notch as well over their past 2 games. And then to wrap it up there, I got Chicago Bears wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. And look, everyone, this is a dart throw, boom or bust type of play. Honestly, I'm surprised he's this expensive at $4,200. I mean, this guy's only averaging 3 DraftKings points per game. Might only see anywhere from 2 to 4 targets in this game, but technically is wide receiver number 3 in this offense, the number 4 pass catcher behind Cole Kmet as well. But he's got that deep threat ability. He is a speedy wide receiver, and all I'm really hoping for here is he scores a touchdown from 30, 40 plus yards out and meets value. And considering he is expensive here for a guy who only averages 3 DraftKings points, I'm kind of hoping we can get him at lower ownership. I'm always trying to find ways to make my lineups unique, especially with these showdowns, and this might be one way that we can do that. All right, everyone, that's going to wrap it up here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Like I said, the Mayo Media Network has football content coming out Monday through Sunday all season long, amongst much other content, so don't miss out on any of that. And again, for those of you who want to sign up for PrizePicks, you can always use the code MMN, which stands for Mayo Media Network, and you'll get up to a $100 match deposit upon signing up. But let's enjoy the weekend here, folks. Let's enjoy this Monday night game, win a little money as well. I'm out of here.